Hey, happy shooting. I'm Paul from PaulsWackyWorld.com. Feel free to visit my website at any time. Today I just wanted to go over some firearms basics. I'm not an expert on firearms, but I do know a little bit. Maybe I can help you. There's always confusion in single action, double action. What's a single action? What's a double action? Hopefully I can explain that. And I also want to show you some different types of safeties on some of these firearms. So let's start with one of my favorite guns, and that's the Ruger Blackhawk. Okay, this is a Ruger Blackhawk revolver, and this is single action revolver. You pull the hammer back, and the trigger does one thing. It releases the hammer, makes the gun go boom or fire. Not too technical. One purpose, that's to release the hammer. Single action. If this was a double action, I could pull the trigger and that would make the hammer go back and release it. Two actions, double action. Funny thing is, I don't own a double action revolver. So I do own other guns that are double action. Here is an example of double action. When I pull the trigger, the hammer goes back, and if I continue pulling the trigger, the hammer goes forward. It releases the hammer. Two actions. Pulls the trigger back and releases the hammer. So this is double action. Also, on this gun, I could pull the hammer back, or if the slide was cycled, that would pull the hammer back and it would release single action. So it's single action or double action. This gun here is an AMT 45 backup, and it has no hammer, no exposed hammer. This is what they call double action only. The only way to fire this gun is to pull the trigger, and it pulls the hammer back and releases it. Double action. So double action does two things. It causes the hammer to pull back and releases it. Single action only does one thing, and that is release the hammer. So that's the difference between single action and double action. There's a lot of variations on it, so this is not the absolute answer to everything, but single action does one thing, release the hammer. Double action causes the hammer to pull back and release. Okay, we're back to the Ruger Blackhawk again. Again, this is a revolver, single action. If you look at the gun, there is no safety. No switch, nothing to push, no safety at all. Some people leave an empty chamber where the hammer is, so if the hammer's down and they drop the gun, it can't be fired. I'm not sure the gun really can fire if the hammer's down, you drop it, but I guess it could happen. There's also a lot of people who leave the first chamber empty, so if a kid got it and went to fire it, the first chamber would be empty. That's different than the chamber when the hammer's down. When you pull the hammer back, the chamber revolves. So if you follow both those rules, you'd have two empty chambers and only 4 shots. I think if I had a revolver, I think I would leave every chamber full, have a bullet in every chamber. The safety is you have to pull the hammer back before you can fire the gun. So no real safety. Guns been around like this for a long time, and a lot of kids been killed with guns like this. So it's not a Ruger Blackhawk. It's almost all revolvers have no safety. Another variation is, in this case, an AMT 45. Again, this gun isn't loaded. It didn't have a hammer that came back here when I cocked it. It's called a double action only. There is no hammer I can get. The only way this gun could fire, if right now I had a bolt in the chamber, the only way the gun could fire is if I pulled the trigger. The safety on this gun is the trigger pull is over 22 pounds. There is no switches for safety. The gun is always ready to fire when you have a bullet in the chamber. So again, this is a variation on the safety. and that's a heavy, heavy trigger pull. Two other variations on safeties. This is a 1911. It's in a holster. First of all, the hammer's back on it. The holster strap is between the hammer and the actual gun. So the gun couldn't fire right now. If I took it out of the holster, it has a manual safety on the side, and this safety matches your grip. So if you needed to get the safety off, there's no fumbling. You push the safety off. It also has a grip safety back here. You have to physically have a grip on the gun to push the back of the grip in right here. I don't know if you can see that. If the part of the grip back here is not pushed in, the gun will not fire. So you have to have a grip on the gun, then the trigger can be pulled. So this is disputed. Well, I shouldn't say disputed. Most people agree that this is one of the safest guns in the world because of the safety ergonomics on it, and it's easy to get the safeties off. The grip safety is natural. The manual safety is natural when you grip it, and you can carry this gun with the hammer back with the round in the chamber. It's very safe to do this if you follow the right rules and don't bypass any of the safety features. So that's the 1911. Manual safety, grip safety, and of course when you put it in a holster, put the strap between the hammer and the gun, and it's perfectly safe to carry in the ready position. Another common safety scenario on these guns, this is a 9mm. It's normally found on 9mm, but it's found on several other calibers of guns, 40s, 45s, whatever, but it's very prevalent on 9mm, and that's a Decocker system. As with the 1911, the hammer's back, which can be a little scary to people. On a gun like this, it's called the Decocker. If I put a round in the chamber, now the hammer's back, and that might make you a little nervous. There's a safety. This here is actually ambidextrous. There's safety on both sides. They're connected together. And as I push the safety down, it releases the hammer, but the gun doesn't fire when it releases the hammer. It's blocked. And right now the safety is on. If I pull the trigger, nothing happens. Again, natural grip. When you grip it, you push the safety up. If you pull the trigger, it's double action. It pulls the hammer back. So this gun can be carried again in the ready to fire position, around in the chamber, very safe. You can decock it and carry it safely. The first round is double action. After the gun fires, of course the action would slam back, go forward. Now it's single action, very light touch of the trigger and the gun fires. But the first round is double action. You have to put a little bit of effort into it. So that's another safety scenario on these guns. So we have basically no safety, heavy trigger type safety, that's the safety feature. The 1911's got the manual safety, plus the grip safety, plus in the holster you got the strap through there. And again, this 9mm, it's got the Decocker. The Decockers are also available in all kinds of other brands of guns, not just Ruger. I have a SIG, I have an FN, I have several guns that have the Decocker system. I prefer the Decocker, but there are several systems. When you go to buy a gun, make sure that the gun store explains the operation of the safety mechanisms on the gun. Make sure you read the book and make sure you understand how to use the safeties. Don't practice with the safety with the gun loaded until you fully understand exactly how the gun operates or you have professional training. So there again, a little information for you. I'm not the authority. If there's any information here that you feel was wrong, let me know. But this is just general information. There's lots of other safety systems. lots of other guns with lots of other options, but these are the most common normally found. So have fun and shoot safely. Remember, visit PaulsWackyWorld.com.